This is EBS TV Reloaded.
The other stations are tuned in too.
For staying with us is Issues and Answers on Edo Broadcasting Service. My name is Josephine Eimihe, and this morning we'll be looking at drug abuse and depression. Drug abuse and depression. A lot of persons, they've been calls from different quarters to curtail the intake of drug and abusing of drugs. And this morning we'll be looking at it. Why are people involving in drug abuse? What are the causes of it? The effect? And how can it be curtailed or stopped so that we have a good society? The governor of Edo State said recently that the intake of drug is alarming due to ASU strike and other issues involved. And whenever you watch the television, you listen, or online, you see the NGLEA arresting some persons peddling drug or one thing or the other. And this news is on and on and on. Do people really know the effect of drug abuse? What the future is involved? What will happen to them in the future when they keep abusing drug? And what is the link between drug abuse and depression? We have a guest this morning who will be talking to us on the effect of drug and how to know when somebody is abusing drug and the right quarters to tell the story so that the person can be saved from drug abuse. We have Dr. Oluyemi Akani. He's a consultant psychiatric from Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Uselu, Benin City. You're welcome, Doc.
Thank you, Josephine, for inviting me once again to this program. I want to say good morning to our viewers at home. I hope we're enjoying our holiday.
Okay. Let me just tell the viewers that I've been inviting this man for the past 2-3 months, but thank God he's with us this morning, and we're going to benefit a lot from, because he's seasoned psychiatric and he knows his onions. It's going to help us out of this quagmire we are in, where a lot of young men are abusing, as if they're eating food these days. It's like candy.
Yeah. Thanks for the compliment.
All right. Talking about drug abuse, let's just get it. What is really drug abuse?
Okay. First is for us to understand what drug itself is. Okay. All right. Drugs are a group of substances that people abuse. These substances, by their nature, have effect on the brain. So sometimes they are termed psychoactive substances. Psycho talks about the mind, all right? Active talks about the action. So drug abuse are firstly substances that have effect on the brain, on the mind, that people use over time and they now become addicted to it.
All right. Talking about, you've established that about drug and drug abuse. Why are people involved in this? Why do people just love abusing drug?
All right, that's a very good question, because you would wonder why a young person, despite the harmful effect of the drug, continues to take the drug. Now, the reasons are numerous, quite complex, okay? But let's look at some of the few common ones. Some people actually go into drugs because out of experimentation, all right? Maybe their parents or their uncles, they've just finished drinking alcohol and there's a leftover. And they just say, oh, let me experiment, because they see older people take it and it looks as if it's a pleasurable activity. So out of curiosity, some people go into drugs. Some people go to take this drug to relax. So we have seen some people, they have a little bit of agitation. They find it difficult to control their emotions or their mood. So they've heard or they've been told, fortunately falsely, that drug can make somebody to be relaxed.
Stabilized.
So, yes, to be stabilized. So some people go into drugs for that. Other reason may just be to improve performance. Are you getting?
Yeah.
We've seen some students, because they want to improve their ability to concentrate while reading. They want to improve their drive when they are reading. So some take into caffeine use, all right, stimulant, it will stimulate, it will make them alert. So because they want to improve in performance, some students take drugs. I've also seen this in the music industry.
Yeah.
All right, so I've seen people, because they want to perform well during entertainment.
agile.
Yes, they want to be agile, they want to be energetic. They also go into drug use. Other reasons may just be as a result of boredom. All right, somebody is idle. Like now, you just talked now that students are at home, they are not engaged, and they said a idle hand is the devil's workshop. So have you not seen anything to do? All right, they just
Want
go
to be
into
high.
drugs. Yes, they're going to drugs. Some may just be out of peer pressure. Okay, so their friends are taking it. It looks enjoying to them, and they don't want to be left out. And that's the thing about, that's the psychology of peer pressure. So they just want to also be part of this group. They take it. Some may just be because of their celebrity, the celebrity hype. Okay, you want to identify with your celebrity, particularly celebrity that you see on media, and this applies to young mind. Oh, this is some other celebrity, they puff whatever drug,
The cigar.
yes, whatever it is, just to identify, because you say it's my celebrity. You want to identify with him or her. They go into drugs, all right? So there are many reasons, okay? There are many reasons. People also take it, I've seen some people take it because of one ailment or the other, all right? So some people say they have poor appetite, they want to stimulate their appetite. So some go into drugs. Some people say they're having pains, they're having poor sleep, so they go into drugs to aid their sleep. So these are various reasons, ranging from personal reasons to social reasons to health reasons, why people go into drug abuse.
I have a lot of questions, but let me just put it right. Do depression contribute to this intake of abusing drugs?
Yes, it can in a way. All right, like I've said, because of health issues, people self-medicate. So some persons that have depression, or few persons that have depression, because they want to elevate their mood, they now think that taking into drugs would be a better approach. So because of that, they might decide to use drugs. So in a way, sometimes it does contribute to drug.
Okay, before we continue on drug, because I want to ask most of the drugs that are commonly abused, I want to ask that. But let me talk about depression. Can you just tell us what is depression and what are the signs or symptoms you notice that, oh, this person is depressed, and the next thing to do? What is depression, Doc?
All right, depression is a common mental health challenge that affects the mood. Mood, we are talking about the feeling or the emotion of an individual. Because by the way the brain is constructed, or the mind has various departments. One is the mood. We have the thinking part of the mind. We have the memory faculty. We have the perceptual faculty. So when the mood part of the mind is affected, all right, that individual may have what we call depression. Now, depression, before we can say it is a clinical illness, will mean that this individual would have been persistently sad for a period of time. Usually we'll say nothing less than 2 weeks. When we say sadness unending, most times of the day. So this person is persistently sad with no obvious reasons. Okay? Even if there are reasons for the person to be sad, you realize that the cause of the cause of the sadness alone cannot explain this sadness. Let me give you an example. This is my Android phone. Assuming I lose it or it's stolen, you expect that I will be sad. Is that also that's a normal reaction to a loss? Okay, I mean, somebody loses a close person, the person will be sad. Okay, but if after 2 weeks, are you getting me?
Yes.
I'm still sad over, I'm still crying, I'm still mourning and weeping over the loss of an Android phone. You'll be.
Okay. Those are the signs.
Yes, I've just talked about only sadness now. In addition to the sadness, there are other accompanying signs and symptoms. One, the energy of that person will be drastically reduced. The person will be unable to carry out his or her usual activity. So for a woman or a housewife, house chores becomes a difficult effort. Something that she used to do before without any hassles, she finds it effortful to carry back. She gets easily tired. All right. In addition to that, the person loses interest in life generally. He just does not have that drive, that motivation to go ahead with life. It's a very horrific state to be. People that are depressed are really serious mental torment. All right. The sleep of that individual too can be affected. All right. The person goes to bed, is unable, he just keeps rolling, tossing to and fro on the bed, unable to get sleep. Maybe he sleeps, the sleep is not deep, or he sleeps within 1 or 2 hours, he wakes up. All right. Then, in addition to the sleep, the appetite too may be affected. The person loses appetite for food. I mean, things that the person used to enjoy before, the person no longer enjoys it. Then, importantly, the thinking of the individual too is affected. All right. The individual looks at the future, you see just hopelessness. Everything is dark, bleak. He's pessimistic about life. All right. He looks at the past. He blames himself excessively for issues that have happened in the past. All right. Issues that ordinarily he would not have blamed himself for. But because he's in a depressed state, he evaluates the past and just begins to blame himself. Okay, maybe for example, he just thinks about how somebody came to ask for 1,000 naira that he was not able to provide. And now maybe something happened to the person, he now starts blaming himself. Oh, I'm responsible for the outcome of that person's life because I did not give the person this 1,000 naira. When it happened then, he didn't see it that way. But when he's in a depressed state, he now reviews the past in a very negative way. Then, talking about himself, his self-esteem is low. He has a poor self-appraisal of himself. He's also unable to concentrate. All right. So these are just all the symptoms
the signs
that goes with depression.
We find that some persons will just tell you that, oh, I'm depressed, nothing. When do you know that this depression is getting out of hand?
Yeah, so that's thanks for that question. I said by the time this is unending, all the symptoms and signs are put together every day, the person is having it every day for like 2 weeks. At least 2 weeks, okay? Then the person now is unable to function.
It's affecting his functionality.
Yes. Now functioning personally, some will get so depressed they may not even take care of their personal hygiene. That's personal functioning. Some may be depressed, they may not take care of their environment. The environment is dirty. Like you just said now about the environment not being clean. The environment is dirty.
They don't care.
They don't just care. All right. functioning when it comes into the taking care of the house. So a woman that is depressed will take care of the children, will take care of the husband. All right. Then at work, performance just drops. It drops significantly. All right. Because of lack of concentration, the person is not able to perform optimally. In fact, some of them they just lose interest in that work and stop going to work. So at the point when sadness gets to the point when it interferes with functioning, then the person needs intervention.
All right, let's look at the link between drug abuse and depression. Because you said some persons will not be able to sleep throughout the night and they want to take some drugs. So is there a link between drug abuse and depression?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Like we have said, all right, a depressed state may contribute to drug use. All right. Drug use itself too may also contribute to depression, especially over time use of drug, not just a one-time use of drug. All right, so some people take what we call stimulants. Stimulants are drugs that will just fire that person's up. Now, after the effect of the drug, okay, there's something we now call a withdrawal effect. The person that has been stimulated just crashes down. So there's a rebound effect of being depressed. Okay? There's a rebound effect of being depressed. So that can be an initial side effect. But over time, in some cases, drug use can contribute to depression, because you discover that the person that is depressed, that is taking drugs, the drug does not solve the problem. It doesn't solve the problem. All right. Depression in itself is as a result of complex factors, social factors, particularly if things are not working well as individual expects.
All right, Doc, I just need to cut you here because I just hope my audience they can get you, because you are very gentle, the way you are talking, as if you are talking to me, but this is a very interesting topic and we want everybody to benefit from it. So I want to appeal that you project a little with your voice, please, so that others can hear you. The other question I want to ask, some persons, sometimes maybe I can't sleep at night, I toss here and there throughout the night, and 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, okay, let me go and take some, there are some kind of drugs here, diazepam, and some people keep using this drug. Please, can you tell us some of the effects of using some of these drugs to sleep before I ask concerning the commonly abused drugs?
Okay, so what you have just said is an abuse because the person is self-medicating. Okay, drug that is not prescribed by his physician is self-medication, and that person is already abusing that drug. Take for example the case of diazepam that you talk about, Valium, it's commonly known. If somebody continues to use it, you will now realize that the person gets addicted to it. So first, in that pathway of addiction is that, let's say the person uses 1 tablet to achieve sleep. Over time, that 1 tablet will not be able to induce sleep. So the person has to increase the dose just to achieve that sleep. So from 1 tablet, some 2 tablets, some 3, even 4 tablets. All right, that person is getting addicted to that drug. Secondly, the person now falls into that danger, he falls into that danger where he is unable to sleep without that drug. The night that he does not use that drug, he's unable to sleep. So those are just the initial side effects of taking such sleeping pills. Now, there are other effects negative effect that one may have from taking those sleep pills. The after effects the following day. Okay, some of those drugs, they have fallout the following day. The person is drowsy, the person is dizzy, sleepy in his place of work, or the person is unable to concentrate well. These are fallout of that drug that he or she has taken. So ultimately, the drug will affect his performance the following day. All right. And like we have said, overtime use can even now cause some other problem. Okay. But depending on the drugs that you are talking in question, overtime use can cause mental health effects, can even cause physical health effects, and even lead to social problems. All right.
Okay. What are the commonly abused drugs?
Okay. Well, there are classes of drugs.
Okay, let me just put it straight. We have substance abuse also and drug. Shey?
Well, they are the same.
They are the
Substance
same.
is just
Okay.
another way of drug, substance, psychoactive substance. They are all.
Are you saying this cannabis sativa is a drug or something?
Yes, it's a drug.
Okay.
It's a drug. Yeah.
All right.
What?
What are the commonly abused drugs?
Okay. So we want to start with alcohol. Alcohol is a drug that can be abused. All right?
Alcohol is a drug?
Yes, alcohol is a drug that can be abused.
What can you use alcohol for if it's a drug? No drug has the positive and the negative aspect. So what's the positive aspect of alcohol?
Alcohol, well, ethanol, all right, can be used as a preservative. Some use it as preservative in cake, bread. Some even come with some medications and all that.
Okay.
All right. But the question, when we're talking of abuse is different from use. People can use drug and not abuse it. Okay? Abuse is a complex situation. It's actually an illness when an individual now compulsively use a drug, when the use of a drug now gets out of that person's control, when that individual continues to use a drug despite the fact that he's already causing an harm to the body, that has become an abuse. It's a different issue from use. People take alcohol so as a social drink. We will not call it, that can never be an abuse. Okay. But when alcohol use has now gotten to an amount that the individual cannot even control the amount it takes. Some people go to the beer parlor, they want to take one bottle, they end up taking 10 bottles. It has gotten out of control. Some people cannot even control their craving. Some people, like we have said, they neglect other interests, area of interest, just to focus on this drug use. Right? For example, somebody now does not take care of his family. Somebody prefers to go and engage in drug use than to concentrate on his academics. So it's already causing a problem. Somebody is taking drugs and it's causing him to have a legal related problem. Drunk driving. He's always having an encounter with law enforcement agents. That has become an abuse of that drug. All right. So abuse is a concept different from just use of drugs. Okay.
Let me take you back. The commonly used,
All
the
right.
commonly
So
abused
alcohol
drug.
can be abused. All right. We know the various forms that it comes in: beer, spirit, wine, ogogoro in our local language, cancan, and poison of them. Cigarettes too is a drug of abuse. All right. Cannabis, popularly known as India hemp, comes in. It's also locally known as ganja, hashish, bana. All right. Then we have codeine.
We have shisha.
Yes, shisha. All right. So we have codeine.
Tramadol.
Yes, tramadol. Codeine can come in the form of cough syrup. All right. Then we have tramadol. Tramadol falls as an example of an opioid. All right. So we have other opioids that people take: pentazocine, injection, pethidine. But the common one is our tramadol. Then morphine too. Then we have also drugs that we have just talked about, sedative. that people take, benzodiazepine, example is this Valium, Lexotan, they are all sedative. Then we have drugs that are known as hallucinogens. Hallucinogens are drugs that particularly people take during party rave, it stimulates them and all that. Then there's another group called solvents. Solvents are drugs that are seen in aerosols, paint, okay, glue. Some people just sniff it and it gives them a hype. All right, so that's another group of drugs that people also abuse.
All right, we've established the commonly abused drugs. Let's talk about the effects. The governor said something that the rate of drug abuse is increasing. So you work at the psychiatric hospital, commonly called Uselu. So do we have high numbers of people having mental health issues right now?
Yes. I would really say that there has been an increase in the turnout of people, all right, having mental illness related to drugs. In fact, we sometimes run into problem where we don't even have bed space to hospitalize some of these people when they come. So there has been a high increase in this last 1 or 2 decades. In fact, the way I describe it is like a nation on a keg of gunpowder, ready to explode. Yes, particularly amongst the young people, there's a high increase of the use of drugs, leading to mental health problems.
All right, since we know the commonly abused drug, what are the effects of abusing drugs?
All right, so the effect too also varies depending on the class. So the effect that alcohol will cause may differ from the one with cannabis will cause, may be different from the one
The
opioids or benzodiazepine will cause. But generally, you could describe it as health challenges. You could want to look at it from legal challenges, social problems, all right, and the rest. For example, if you are looking at social problems, all right, drugs that have been implicated in relationship issues. So you have a lot of domestic violence because somebody is into alcohol use. All right, you have a lot of sexual assault because somebody is into alcohol use. Most of these domestic violence, sexual assault are done under the influence of alcohol. All right, so you also have legal related problems, drug driving, because somebody is using a drug. Okay, then if you want to look at the health implication, as an individual, the range of health implication is unending. All right, for example, let me give you an example. Alcohol can cause problems like liver problem, liver cirrhosis, liver cancer, ranging to stomach ulcer, can lead to heart problems, it can lead to respiratory problems, and it keeps on going and on and on. Cigarettes, nicotine has been implicated in cancers. Many of the cancers that happens in the body, from mouth cancer, esophagus cancer, stomach cancer, colon cancer, lung cancer. I mean, you will implicate cigarettes in it. Blood diseases problem, hypertension, stroke, diabetes. Nicotine is strongly implicated in it. If you want to look at cannabis, for example, number of infertility can result from cannabis. Cannabis can cause mental health issues, impairment in judgment, confusion, pure mental illness. All right. If you want to look at tramadol, those can cause lightheadedness, drowsiness, the range is endless, it's countless.
And inability to make wise decisions when you are influenced.
Yes, I said it, impaired judgment.
Yes, okay. There's this, how would I put it? Some persons will tell you that, oh, I love cigarette, but I want to stop. For the Christians, maybe there is a program in church, they will go the 5 days fasting, they will not take the cigarette. They'll say, okay, I'm done with it. Then for the Muslim also, after fasting, I'm not going to take it. Why is it difficult for people to stop abusing drugs? Even when they want to stop it, they can't even stop it.
I love that question, because I've had people ask me, why can't I just stop? It's not as easy as you have asked it, because you need to understand that once somebody is addicted to drug, it becomes a mental health problem that requires treatment and intervention. See, the first time somebody takes a drug, it's a matter of choice. The person has a choice. But when somebody has taken that drug over time, the drug kind of rewire the brain structure such that it now becomes a compulsive behavior. The individual, as it were, does not have a choice. Unlike that first time use, over time use does a restructuring of the brain wiring, so that it now becomes, the person is compelled to take that drug. Okay, so it does give them an effect that is pleasurable. And I mean, if anybody has enjoyed pleasure, the human behavior, the human nature is such that you want to always seek for that pleasure. If something rewards you with pleasure, you want to always seek for that pleasure. So that effect on the brain of being rewarded with pleasure makes drug addicts to always want to go back.
So the pleasure, they want the pleasure.
Yes.
All right, if you are just joining us, we are talking about drug abuse and depression. We have Dr. Akani from Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital. He's a consultant psychiatrist. Once again, thank you so much, sir. So how can I avoid abusing drug? I don't want to, some persons, oh, I just want to take this for the time being, then I will stop. How can I stop abusing? How can I avoid this?
Okay.
Not abuse drug.
All right. It's multifactorial when you are looking at how can we as a society overcome this drug scourge.
Let the individual, let's take from the individual. I don't want to abuse drug. How can I stop? I don't want to start it at all.
Okay.
How do I not get involved into drug abuse?
Okay, so like this, just like I said, we are looking at it just at the individual level, because there are other levels. First, is better prevented than treated. So first is not to engage into it if you are not addicted. So personal commitment. You have to be committed, because we are living in a society where access to it is easy. And some of these drugs, they are also cheap to purchase. All right, some of them affordable. Okay, so it's a personal commitment on your own side, that you will be knowing the effect, the negative effect of it down the line. You make a personal commitment that you will not go near drug. And so, secondly, if you have friends that are into drugs, you need to be careful, you need to be cautious. You need to separate yourself from that group of friends, because they say that evil communication ultimately will corrupt
good manners.
Yes, you are in a group, you always want to identify with them.
They're always taking
Yes,
alcohol.
yes, in your presence, or they are smoking in your presence. It's just a matter of time.
You will join.
You will join, because whatever resistance that you have, with time you start tolerating it. You start losing your guard. Okay, so we say you have to move from that subculture group of friends and integrate yourself into another culture or subculture group of friends that do not take it. All right. Now, the other thing that you should do, if as a personally, to avoid taking in drugs, is if you have problems or issues that you won't solve, that people go into drug for, seek the intervention of a therapist. You know, we earlier said that people go to drugs because they want to relax. So if you're having anxiety problem, why not seek the intervention of a therapist rather than say you want to go into drugs?
Is it easy to see a therapist?
Yes.
You pay consultation fee,
yes.
and you've not eaten, and then you are.
Yes, it's easy. It's not.
It's easy to go to a psychiatric hospital.
Yeah.
To get a card.
Once you open your card to consult, to
I
see
think it's like 5,000.
and that's just the opening of the card. All right.
5,000
but
is huge.
consultation is now 500 naira subsequently.
Okay.
So if you come subsequently after opening your card, to see us is 500 naira if you come on the appointment day.
I just hope if government can even reduce for the card, you can get a card of 100 naira, 200. Everybody can just troop in and get a card, and maybe the consultation there's no amount. This problem we are having, you are smiling.
Yes, it continues to be our desire really, because
All
that
right.
amount for some people, even though we are
It's
saying
big,
it's
it's
big,
huge.
yes.
5,000
Yes,
to just
yes.
get a card.
Yeah.
You're having a problem, you can't sleep.
Yeah.
Instead of me to go and see a therapist, why don't I get Lesotan of maybe 5 or they'll tell me 10 naira.
Yeah.
You see where the people now kind of
Yes.
abuse.
But the long term effect is counterproductive. So there are reasons why people personally go into those drugs to relax. All right, like we have said, that people they have problem with sleep.
Yes.
Rather than going to those drugs, find a therapist that can help you. You're having problem with appetite, you said you want to stimulate your appetite, seek a therapist. So these are the steps that you can take. All right, some people have problem asserting themselves. So they want to assert themselves, they go into drugs. Look for alternative means to solve this problem rather than taking drugs.
And if you are depressed, for instance,
Yes.
you don't have this energy, you don't
Yes.
have the vibes,
Yeah.
instead of you to go and take one of those opioids that will high you.
Yes.
Because a lot of persons, because of being depressed,
Yes.
they will just want to take something to make them leave that level. They know that they are not in a good place.
Yes.
They know. But a friend can just tell the person, oh, there's this drug. When you take it, you're not like you are flying. All right. Thank you so much for your thoughts this morning. But let me come down a bit. No, we like up and down. But the bottom line is that drug abuse is bad and you just need to stop it. There are a lot of young people involved in drug abuse. You said it also. How can a parent know, for instance, that the child is involved in drug? Because the child will just be okay. How do you know that this my friend is abusing drug, and how to go about it?
Yeah, well, it may be, sometimes it may be tough, it may be difficult for parents to identify this, because children nowadays, we say they are wiser than their age. So they know how to code it, they know how to hide it from their parents, because they know that if the parents gets to know, the parents will frown against it. So usually people take it, children take it without the knowledge of their parents. Okay, so it may be an uphill task for parents to detect these signs, right? But by the time the drug starts causing some effects on the child, yes, it may be a reason to suspect the child. All right. So, like you have said, somebody that is into drugs may now have his behavior altered. A child that used to be respectful and obedient to the parent is now somehow aggressive. Okay, all right. So when there's a change in a child's behavior,
Always locking his
all right,
room.
that's so. Yes, like I said, it's always locking, hiding, always behaving in a suspicious manner. All right, it could be a telltale sign. All right, and if a child also, you now see that the crop of friends that is now moving with are suspicious. All right, it could also be a sign for parents to be worried. Okay, then if also there are some drugs, like Ibuna once is taking a cigarette, their eyes will be red. Okay, it could be also a sign. Some drugs, when they are taking, they smell. The after effect is still smelled on the person's body. You can still perceive it on somebody's body. So these are just few telltale signs, all right, that parents can use to identify whether their child is into drugs. Now, how do they go about it? Yeah, they need to be, if the child is caught red-handed, all right, parents need to be cautious in the way they go about it. The approach is to help the child, all right, not to condemn the child, because the child already has a problem. So adding condemnation to the child may not help. All right. So how do they go about it? Education. All right. So what we are hearing now is enough enlightenment for parents to know. So they need to properly educate their child
Of the effect of what
yes,
they're involved.
of the effect of what they are involved.
Some say sometimes it's spiritual. They'll say, oh, they just drop it on the child when the child is sleeping. And the next thing, the parents will take the child to a church, go and do 7 days fasting. The child, instead, they will lock the child in. So where is the first place to go when you notice that somebody is addicted?
Oh, once an addiction is established, it's often always advisable to come to a professional like me. Come to our hospital at the psychiatric hospital. We know how to go about it.
As against going to church, because they'll tell you that I'm going to church for fasting and praying, that demon of this addiction must go.
It does not really
But
solve
power,
the
God can do
problem.
everything now.
Yes. What I advise is whatever spiritual exercise you want to engage in, go ahead with it, but combine it with a psychotherapeutic process. It makes sense. I mean, two, we say, are better than one.
One.
So I'm not against people engaging in praying, fasting, ministration, and all that. But in addition to that, also bring your prayer can aid the work of the specialist. Yeah, because truly we also should not completely neglect the roles of religious institutions in helping in put away this scourge of drug use. Why? Because you see that most mainstream religion, Muslim, Christian, they frown against drug use, drug addiction. All right. So clerics, clergymen use their platform sometimes to educate their audience about this drug use. And, people believe in their religious leaders. Anytime they tell them, they easily hold on to it. So I don't frown against seeking religious help, but do it in addition to the orthodox medicine.
All right, thank you, Dr. Akani. You've spoken a lot concerning drug abuse and depression. But what can be done? What can government, I'm talking about government this time, because since the rate is getting to an alarming dimension, what can be done to reduce drug abuse in the society,
All right,
from your own perspective?
So government has a major role to play, just as the society too has a major role to play. First is public awareness, enlightenment, education. You cannot beat it. And the education preferably should even start from elementary school. You don't need to wait till they get to. I've seen students from primary schools, primary 5, primary 6, use drugs. So why not even start this education from elementary school? All right, create awareness. I know NGOs are into that.
The Edo State government is into it, and those state drug control committee.
Yes, they're into it. NDLEA too. They are also into this education and enlightenment. So, like I said, it's better prevented than treated. So, education, enlightenment, campaign. It's a campaign against a scourge. All right. Now, the other thing is we have legislations against the use of illicit drugs. We should enforce this legislation to serve as deterrent. All right. So somebody that is driving and is drunk, let him face the penalty of the law. If people are consistently punished, okay, when they use drug against the law, all right, it will deter people. Okay. Issue of legislating or enforcing legislation of underage use of drug is also crucial. Right? We have seen some parents send their 10-year-old, 11-year-old to go and buy them cigarettes, buy them alcohol. Whoever is selling it to an underage is doing wrong. They should not allow that to sell. The other means is taxation. You can tax some of these drugs, like cigarettes. If you increase taxation, the cost of it increases. It will also affect end users. It will deter. I mean, if I know that purchasing cigarettes will cost me so much, it may also affect the end users. So some people from that angle, they've also said that, okay, why not increase the taxes of some of these drugs?
Okay, thank you.
What are you? Of course, the other efforts where people, the NDLA, the people trafficking drugs, they are actively people that plant this drug, cultivate this drug. They also do active intelligence survey so that the producers are nipped. All right, so it doesn't even get to the end users.
Okay. What about unemployment? Does it hate this drug abuse too? When people are unemployed, the idle minds?
Yes. Complex there also, so there are many factors. Right. It's not just not employment. Because okay, somebody that is unemployed may have boredom, and maybe to cure that your boredom. Exactly. So it's a complex. It's not just direct unemployment.
Your recommendation, briefly, sir. What can be done concerning drug abuse and depression? How not to be depressed so that you don't take. What are your recommendations concerning drug abuse and depression? Just put it aptly for us, for people that are depressed, not to go into this or see the right people. I just want you to tell the people.
Yes, I've said it.
Yeah.
Taking drugs for people that are depressed is not the solution. It is just worsening the case. All right, it doesn't solve it. It leaves the problem the same. All right, so people that are depressed should seek the appropriate channel to obtain treatment. All right, for drug use, it's better prevented than treated, because when somebody is already addicted, it's terrible to get the person out. It's like a bondage that the person has put himself into. Okay, so make a personal commitment, like we have said. But if you're already into it, all hope is not lost. You should seek for external support, because you would have discovered that your personal decision to quit is not working. So you need external support, and that's why you may not have to come for a drug rehabilitation in our institution. That's where I work.
All right, and if I may add that the government at all levels should ensure that meeting this consultant is very cheap. For the card especially, if it can go to 500 or 100 naira to get a card, and not paying any amount to get It can be, it's possible. It's
Yes,
possible.
All things are possible.
All things are possible. All right, we just have to do that so that I cannot just have issues and I want to see a consultant and they're telling me it's 5,000 to get a card.
Okay, like let me explain so that to be clear. Is to open that card, yes, because there are other costs that go into it. All right, but for the consultation, it's just 500 each. I think
Okay.
it's fair to see a specialist.
Okay. And government should pay them more so that other people can come in. Thank you, Dr. Akani.
You're welcome.
He's a consultant psychiatrist from Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Benin City, Edo State. Doc, I appreciate you for your time. I've been talking about drug abuse and depression this morning. If you are into that, please stop for your health's sake. We need a healthy nation. Many thanks to my producer, Godwin Inobakai, for his contribution. Odinwe, thank you. I'm Josephine Eyimihi. Do have a productive day ahead and happy holiday to us Nigerians. Good morning.
This is EBS TV Reloaded.
The other stations are tuned in too.